My dear friends, we are at the eve of Rosh Chodesh NISSAN, the month of miracles. Every single one of us needs, at some point in his life, some point in his day, a miracle. We all want miracles to happen. What are they exactly? How do they happen? And how can we tap into the energy that's connected to this month? This is what we're going to be learning today. Let me start with the statement of the Torah. The Torah says in this week's special portion that we're reading before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, HaChodesh Azeh Lachem Rosh Chodashim Rishonu Lechodshei Hashana. This month is the first of all months. It is the first of all the months of the year. Okay, very nice. So now we're in the month of Nisan, the month in which we experienced the liberation from Egypt, and this is the first month. So why do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah on the 7th month, as it says in the Chumash? B'chodesh Hashvi tiku b'chodesh shofar b'keseh leyom chagenu. On the 7th month you should blow the shofar, and therefore Tishrei is the 7th month to Nisan. Even the non-Jews, right? Even the Gentiles have taken this and made it into their calendar till they change the calendar. If you look at Rosh Hashanah, always falls in the month of September. September, which comes from the word septo, which is siete, which is 7, right? Followed by October, ocho, 8. Followed by November, nueve, 9. Followed by December, diez. Right, and afterwards, of course, everything went loose. So, why do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah on the 7th month, and why not on the 1st month? If this is really the 1st month, there's a machloket, there's a discussion between the rabbis, between two rabbis in the Talmud of Rosh Hashanah, page 16, if I'm not mistaken. One says, this is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, that the world was created on the 25th of Elul, right? 6 days before Rosh Hashanah of the summer, after the summer. And Rosh Hashanah is therefore the creation of man, which is in Tishrei, when we blow the shofar. But according to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, he says, no, what are you talking about? The world was created in the 25th of Adar, which was just a few days ago. And this Sunday, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, is going to be Rosh Hashanah. What are they arguing about? What are we talking about? We're talking about, says the Rebbe, the intention of creation and the actual creation. There are two modalities. There are two realms. There's the realm of the intention that God had when He created the world. Indeed, in intention, in thought, the world was created now. It was created in the month of Nisan. Man was created Rosh Chodesh Nisan. But when it came to actually creating the world, when did it actually happen? It happened during the month of Tishrei. Now you're going to ask me a question, Rabbi, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If the world is a creation, space is a creation, time is a creation. So once you already have the concept of time as created, what are you saying that the world was created then or then? Time was created. Once it's created, what do you mean? The intention of creation versus the creation itself. Time is a creation, right? God is above time. We don't understand what that means. Well, those who are married understand that their spouse sometimes is above time, but not in that way, right? I won't say which one of the spouses has the problem with time. We will not get there. This is not a class on Shalom Bayit. But if you want Shalom, buy it. You can buy time. Anyways, on a serious note, which we're still in the month of Adar, so it's important to have simcha and joy and continue. The increasing of the joy continues even more when we go more into the month. So what happens? The dimension of time exists. It's just like if you look at a body and a soul. You look at your head, your heart, your hands, your feet. Okay, these are different parts of the body. The soul itself, is it predetermined that there's a part of the soul which is the head and a part of the soul which is the eye and the power of the part of the soul which is the heart? No. The soul is one or pashut. It is one simple light divested of any type of limitation whatsoever and any type of definition. But when the soul goes into the head, at that moment what happens? It gives a capacity for the head to be the head, to be a brain, right? For some people, more than less, or less than more. And for when it comes to the heart, it's going to give the capacity to the heart to function as a heart. And the hands as hands, the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the etc. The lungs to breathe. So what happens is, when we talk about this body, this creation called time, in the creation called time, there is a head. Just like the head is the microcosm of your whole body, in time, there is the head of time. The intention, the energizer, the generator of all time. Where is that? In Tishrei. I'm sorry, in NISSAN. But when is time going to translate itself into creation? Because there's time, which is a creation. And then we have the creation of the world itself, right? Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. God created the heavens and the earth. When is that actually going to happen? It's going to happen in the month of Tishrei. Which means really the fact that I'm moving my hand right now, the fact that I'm walking, I'm giving this class, and you're actually listening in the middle of a Friday morning. You guys are incredible, right? You're leaving everything to do this. Sure, you're not multitasking. You're completely focused on the class, right? That's why everybody has their cameras off. Anyways, today I'm a little on edge. Happy to be with you. So what happens is, it starts with the head. So my movement of the hands starts with my head. So everything is in the head. And from the head, I get what happens in the heart and the liver and the kidneys and so on and so forth. So in time, that dimension called time, you have a head. The Torah says, "Chodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodashim." This month is the head of all months. Now what happens is, we know that every month, which is made of 29, 30 days, depending on the month, this month is made of 29 days, has a head. It's called Rosh Chodesh, the head of the month. The month of Nissan is Rosh Chodashim. It's the head of all months. So imagine that the generator of time, of energy, of divinity that goes through this is going to go through Chodesh Nissan, the month of Nissan. The month of Nissan is going to give energy to 12 or 11 months, the other months. And these heads of months of these Rosh Chodesh, which it gives energy to, are going to be the ones which are going to energize the rest of the month and the energy of the whole year. So now we have a little dichotomy happening here. Because we have two dimensions. We have the dimension of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, which is the natural order of things. How things are natural within nature. Everything is calculated and natural. And then you have the month of Nissan, which is the month which is Nissan. Nissan starts with a nun, ends with a nun, has the word Nes inside, which is miracle. Nisim veniflaot. Nun is for Nisim, miracles. The second nun is for Niflaot, wonders, miracles and wonders. Coming soon your way are happening during this month. This is a miraculous month. It's above nature. So how is that the head of all the other months which are within nature? And this is where we're going to find out that in this month, there is an energy which is so powerful. It's going to permit us, the energy of this month, the fuel, this divine fuel of this month imbues the whole year with the possibility to reveal miracles. Let me explain. There are two ways of understanding God. As it says in the verse, Kel Deot Hashem. There is the supernal level of knowledge of God called Da'at Elyon, and there is the lower dimension of knowledge of Hashem, which is called the Da'at Tahton, the lower Da'at. In Da'at Elyon, in the higher supernal level of knowledge, there is only God. The world doesn't exist. The only reality which is true, real, is God. The world is one big fake thing. Da'at Tachton is the world exists. But God dominates the world. But what I see, the reality that I'm close to and I'm in contact with is the physical reality. I try to sometimes forget about it, but I get mortgage bills and things like that and the mail, I know. And it just brings me back with my feet on earth again. Now, when there is a miracle that occurs, like the splitting of the sea, for example, at that moment, what happened? You have the element which is above nature, God, which reveals himself, and suddenly, for that window of time, gives you the opportunity to experience God with no filters. There's no filter of the world blocking or veiling or formatting the revelation of God. What happens then? You're overwhelmed. I'll give you a simple example. You're going to ask me, but how does that relate to me? I don't remember the splitting of the sea, even though my spiritual DNA does remember it. Well, imagine sometimes we have situations of tremendous hashgacha pratit, of divine providence, where you're in need of something, and the only way it can happen is by miracle. You could be in need of money, you can be in need of health. God forbid a person has an accident and he is saved. At that moment, wow, you're just overwhelmed by the presence of God which saved you and was so almost obvious to see with the eye. That is already a higher supernal knowledge. This is, of course, it's higher than that. I'm just speaking something which is tangible, something that is that we can relate to. That is a miracle. Right? Person's driving, I don't know, God forbid, and he's saved. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. You see something from heaven happened, right? Sometimes you see an individual that is so far and has been addicted to I don't know what for so many years, and there's a sudden change. That's miraculous. What's natural is a longer process. In general, the miracle is something which is quick in, quick out. There's this great revelation. There's this great thing that just happened, but we are not vessels to actually contain it. And that's why the inspiration that happens as a result of a revelation of above is normally something which is short-lived. On the other hand, there's the effort of man in recognizing God, not because God reveals himself to you, but rather because you're searching for him. You're contemplating on the trees, the astronomy, and you're on the cells, and your body, the great complex thing which is called the human body, and you realize that only God could do this. That is the lower level of this is more the natural. So that in ourselves, we have a side of ourselves which is basically the natural experience we have with God through the world. And we have these moments that God reveals himself above of nature and is able to open a window that we did not think that naturally would be possible. What is greater? When you have that salvation that comes from above, or when you make the effort to reach the salvation, to get closer to God? So the answer to this is that each one has an advantage. When you make the effort to get closer to God and to recognize God in his divine providence in every element of your life, yes, it's your effort, it's your own. And therefore, when you come to a certain understanding, you integrate it and it becomes a part of your life, a part of your vision. But nevertheless, it's limited to your human state, to the fact that you are human. When God reveals himself to you, it's overwhelming. You get out of your human limitations and you surrender to something which is greater. But as we said before, it's not, you don't live that for long. It's not absorbed. It's just overwhelming. What does the month of NISSAN bring to the table for the rest of the months? What does the miracle bring to the natural life that we live within nature? When the miracle occurs, it makes you realize that the natural is a miracle. You see, when we said before that the effort that we make, not only it's integrated better, it becomes a part of us. When you think about it, you think about the sun going around or the earth going around and doing this for thousands of years without changing its distance really between the earth and the sun, and with the same speed and the same things over and over again. You're going to say this is natural. I see it every day happening. This is nature. Yes, you're right. But what's hiding behind that? There's an infinite power which continues to move the whole cosmos and makes it the way it is. So when a miracle occurs, you realize that inside the natural state, there is something, there's a power that is supernatural, which is maintaining everything. The purpose is to realize that in the natural, there is above nature. And then what happens? You elevate the level of nature. You live at a different frequency. You look at the world in a different dimension. The month of Nissan is the month where we all experienced miracles. As a nation, that's the birth of the Jewish people. It's the month that God reveals himself from above. There's tremendous godly energy. That's why this month is called Chodesh Aviv, the month of spring. Aviv starts with the letter Aleph, and then it goes down to Bet. It's the way God, Aleph, comes down to us. The month of Tishrei, which is the month where we blow the shofar, starts from the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. We go from the Tav to the Shin to the Resh. Tishrei. It's our effort. So now, during this month, we have a power to be able to tap into our miraculous self. What are you talking about? We're human. What miraculous self are you talking about? Well, in the Shema, we say, "Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha." You should love the Lord your God b'chol levavcha, with all your heart, u'v'chol nafshecha, with all your soul, u'v'chol me'odecha, with all your might. What does that mean, your might? And again, I'm not sure it's the correct translation because it's always difficult. Hebrew is such a refined, deep language, source of all languages. Me'odecha means your supernatural self. You should love God with your supernatural self. Supernatural self. What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you saying? You see, I'm in an argument with somebody. Let's say with my wife, God forbid. We're going to be celebrating 30 years of marriage next week. In good health. I just asked for another 30-year extension. Hopefully I'll get it. And at this moment, I say something, God forbid, not kind to my wife, or she says something not kind. And normally my natural shoot from the hip response is one where I just answer back just to show that I'm right and I'm better. And I put her down, God forbid. That's my natural response. A negative one. The moment that I stay quiet, or I transform and I ask a question, says, I didn't understand what you meant. Explain it to me. I don't want to misinterpret what you said. At that moment, I've gone completely above my nature. Somebody asks me for a donation. And again, he asks me. And I overcome my understanding of things and I just do it. I give more than what I can. I go visit the sick and I do more than what I'm obligated to do. That's b'chol me'odecha. That's all your might. Which means whenever you go out of your nature, at that moment, you are awakening, you are integrating, absorbing, connecting, fusioning the supernatural with the natural. In the Talmud of Ta'anit, it talks about what the rabbis would do in a situation where there was a drought. So they would fast 1 day, then 2 days, and 3 days. And they would pray, everybody would gather in the synagogue. And they say a story that big rabbis went and they prayed, nothing happened. Suddenly, another rabbi was invited to lead the prayers. He just put his foot down on the podium where he started the prayer, and it started pouring rain. The rabbis just didn't understand. What do you mean? How is he better than us? We've been praying for 3 days and just put his foot down over there and boom. It happens. God's already answering his prayers before he even opens his mouth. Talmud answers. It says, Eno domeh mi she'over al midotav le mi she'eno over al midotav. Translation. You can't compare. There's somebody that's going to study Torah, and he's going to be a holy Jew, and he's a tzaddik, and he's whatever you want. Give him titles till from today to tomorrow. But when it comes to his character traits, when it comes to his ego and so on and so forth, certain things have to be in certain order. If not, he's going to get offended. So that person lives within the realm of natural. So make more effort naturally, and you will get the result of your natural efforts. This gentleman, which sometimes is insulted, put down, trampled upon, and so on and forth, and he just, it's okay. I don't care. Who am I? I'm dust. I come from dust. I'm going to go back to dust. So I'm dust now. So that person is completely living over nature, above nature. It's not the nature of man not to react to an insult. So it's to him, I'm going to do above nature. The month of NISSAN, you want to tap into this level, which is above nature. It's time to look at the intention that God had when he created you. Right? Sometimes as parents, we really ask that question about our kids. What was the intention? The creation was a natural creation in a physical body. What was the intention that God had when he created you? He had the intention that you would be supernatural. You would be above nature. You would be able to look at yourself as connected to the ultimate reality, the absolute reality of God, and this would be your identity. And therefore, nothing physical in this realm would affect you, because you would live in such a level of trust, and a blind trust to Hashem. Just like when we came out of Egypt. They brought the bread, they brought the flour, and God told them, we're going to go out. So they didn't have time to bake the matzot. They weren't time to rise. They didn't have time. Because I trust. I put my trust in you, Hashem. You're carrying me. Once you do that in your natural life, in all occurrences of your life, like Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon says, B'chol de'achecha da'eh, when all your paths you should know him, Vehu yeyasher ochotech, and God will straighten the path according to you. Which means our job, our work, our toil has to be one where I am knowing, I'm looking to know God in everything that's happening in my life. In my relationship with my kids, in my relationship with myself, in the way I eat, in the way I walk, in everything. That's why Torah and mitzvot encompass every area of a life, from the most intimate to the most practical and basic aspects of life. Once you live at that dimension, I'm going to tell you what a student of mine told me this week. Student of mine from the north of Israel. We're talking about the importance of studying the secrets of Torah, Hasidut, Tanya. And I said, there's a life with that, and there's a life without that. The life without that is very superficial. Even if you have Torah, it's missing that, that breath. And he reminded me, he said, Rabbi, you told me once an example. He says, it's like imagine going on a train. I once was invited to speak in Saint-Tropez. And somebody invited me in their big mansion, overviewing the mountains and the Mediterranean. Beautiful. It was incredible. I left my wife in Paris with her mother. She should live long and be well. And I took what's called the TGV. TGV is a train that's a very rapid train. In 2 hours, I was at the south of France. So he told me, there's two ways to go to that trip. There's a person that's going to be in his phone the whole trip, absorbed fully in his phone, right? Or he's sleeping, or whatever it is, he's just watching, I don't know what, a talk show, some other foolish thing. And then there's the way I lived it. I still to this day, this happened maybe 20 years ago. I still to this day remember that trip. It was extraordinary. I just decided to relax. Purpose was to free my mind. I put earphones. I listened to the music I like, Hasidic melodies, and some chazanos. And I was just looking through the window, and I saw these beautiful pasture and the mountains and the animals and the different colors. Just my it was expansive. It just like my heart became expansive. My brain, my mind started expanding. It was another trip. We're two people in the same train. One is completely absorbed by nonsense and he doesn't see what's happening. He's not enjoying it. He's nervous. Why am I not there yet? And then there's the person that enjoys the journey. Rosh Chodesh NISSAN, starting this Sunday. This is the moment to fill in and understand we need to enjoy the journey. Because the journey, which you think is within the bounds of nature, are really above nature. God bless you. Shabbat Shalom.